Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, I got a little gardening I need to do today. You may recall a couple months ago I replaced a couple plants in the front yard that didn't survive the big freeze last winter. And turns out a couple of plants near them are also either dying or have died. And so I want to replace those today. And so let me go out in the front and show you what we're talking about. So this is the plant I replaced a few months ago that took the place of a plant that had died in the big freeze last winter. But I have a couple of plants over here. This one here just is not doing well at all. It's got some sort of a blight on it. You look at the leaves have some discoloration on them, and I just think I'm probably losing that one. And this one over here is absolutely just gone. So I think what I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to remove these two plants, and I want to run over to the same nursery where I got this one and see if I can figure out exactly what this is and get a couple more. We might even get three or four of them to fill in over here. And so that is the task for today. So let's go over to the nursery. Now I got some kind of cool feedback from one of my neighbors a couple weeks ago. I was out doing some work in the yard, and apparently she knew the people who lived here before me, and she said that she'd really kind of appreciated and respected the work I've done landscaping the yard. That's kind of nice to hear. And you were talking about it, and I was saying, yeah, you know, the previous owners took really good care of the inside of the house, but the stuff they did in the yard was just kind of boring, and they kind of did the same thing over and over again. And she said, yeah, I kind of agree with that. You know, the guy who the man of the family you know, was working all the time, and so there just wasn't a lot of time to put into the landscaping end of things. So it's kind of nice to hear feedback from neighbors that they appreciate what you're doing. Anyway, let's go over to the nursery. Alright, so what I had done is I had taken a picture of this plant here and brought it into the gardener and said, I want another one of these, but I don't remember what it's called. Well, he took me to one section of the store, and the second I saw these and saw what they were called, I said, yeah, that's what it is. I remember the name from before. It's a wax leaf ligustrum. I remember that from before. So I got 3 of these, and I also got some little dwarf holly plants here. So we're going to kind of fill in this area a little bit, and the holly plant will have those beautiful red berries before too long. In fact, a number of the plants that they had there actually had the berries on them. These haven't started blooming yet, but I suspect that they will soon. I kind of see a little bud action going on there, so we'll get some pretty red berries out of that, and that'll add a little color to the front yard. But first thing I got to do is pull out all these. So let's get going on that. Oh, and while I was out and about, I also picked up about 9 bags of garden soil. Now, I actually went over to Home Depot for this because while the nursery itself does have potting soil and planting soil and stuff like that, first off, they're using kind of their own private brand of soil, and it's really expensive. But also, you may recall about a year and a half ago, I mentioned that the company I work for had given me a Fitbit, and if I you know, walked a certain number of steps and, you know, answered some questions on you know, health and stuff like that, they gave you points, and those points could ultimately be redeemed for gift cards. And one of the gift cards I was eligible to get was a Home Depot gift card. And I found out a couple weeks ago that the points were about to expire if I didn't use them, and I'd lose the credit for that card. So I decided I was going to run over to Home Depot, and basically I had $70 worth of gift card accrued, and so I just bought $70 worth of dirt. So you know what, whatever, that's good. I'll bring up the soil level in here a little bit, and that's a good thing, right? Alright, so I got this area pretty well cleaned out. Now I just got to kind of figure out where I want to put all the plants in here. Like I said, I got a number of plants that can go in here, and I also did a little time cleaning some of the leaves out of here. The pecan trees have basically dropped all their leaves, and it's been kind of windy and stormy around here lately, and so it blows all the leaves into the planter here, so I had to kind of clear that all out. That's all part of the joy of living in an area where it gets cold in the winter. So I think I'm going to just kind of set the plants where I want them at this point, kind of spread them out and see what looks good, and we'll go from there. Alright, so this is I think how I'm going to do this. I got one here, one back there, one right here, and then I'm going to put the 2 holly bushes right here on the edge. And so I think they'll add a little color in this kind of section of the yard. Now I'm going to leave this thing here. This thing looks really rough right now, but that's a Lantana bush, and there's a few of these around here. And I really like these because these have just brilliant orange and yellow flowers in the summer. And I remember last year they looked a little rough about this time of year, but they always seem to bounce back. And in terms of the other things, this is the stuff I planted last spring. Hydrangeas are taking a little bit of a beating, and you know, a lot of times in these yards, you know, you plant something and see how well it's going to do. But the jasmine is taking over real well. It's throwing streamers out all over the place. That thing's a little rough right now. I don't know if that'll make it, but we'll see. You know, like I said, it's all a matter of experimenting with you know, different things and seeing what works. You know, see, there's another hydrangea that isn't doing well. This one's doing all right, but it still looks pretty raggedy. But like I said, we'll see what happens next spring. But like I said, the Asian jasmine that I put in here about a year ago, that's still doing very well in here, and it's actually even starting to grow up this tree a little bit, so that's cool. So anyway, let's put this stuff in the ground and see what it looks like. I'll have to fill in with some of the soil, but we got plenty of new soil for that, so that'll be good. Now, I think I've talked about this before, but generally when you're planting plants in the yard, what you want to do is dig a hole roughly twice the size and twice as deep as the pot, and then you'll fill it in with some of your potting soil or planting soil, and fill it all in, and that'll give it a nice area for the root ball to kind of take over on, and that'll give your plant the best chance of taking off. So I'm going to start with this one here. This one's right on the edge, and we'll just kind of work our way across here. So there's my first hole. That one's probably about 16 or 18 inches deep and probably about 15 inches in diameter. I'm gonna fill about half of the hole up with the planting soil, the gardening soil that I bought, and that'll mean that this will stick out of the ground a little bit. But like I said, I'm going to bring the soil level up a little bit, so it'll all kind of end up flat at the end, and that's what we want. Rotate it around the way I want it to face. It's going to look just about right. Now I'm going to build up a little bit of a mound around the hole a little bit here, just because as it gets wet and settles a little bit, it'll all kind of level out. Plus, like I said, I'm going to be raising the soil level a bit too, so And that's one. One down, 4 to go. Alright, things were going so well, and then you run into one of the things that comes from working on a house that you didn't have a part on everything you did. I was just digging a hole here and I hit a sprinkler line. I have no idea where the sprinkler lines go in this yard, and I actually see this one here, and I tapped on that one, but I didn't hit this one, but I actually broke this one. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of repair work. I'm going to do some excavation here and figure out where this thing goes, and then we're going to have to do a little patchwork here. That's part of the fun. Like I said, this never would have happened in my house in California because I knew everything, where everything was, because I was the one that put it there. But you know, you never know. You start digging, you never know what you're going to hit. Alright, so I found the other half of this, and basically I destroyed this L junction here, so I'm going to have to replace that. And I think I can probably just you know, cut this piece off here, put another this looks like about a 1/2 inch piece. It's really cheap PVC. This is like Schedule 80, so it's one of those things that that breaks very easily because it's a very thin piece of pipe. Usually what you want to do if you're going to do sprinkler systems is you want to make sure that you're using, you know, if it's any area where you might be digging and actually hit it with a shovel, you want to use Schedule 40 because that's generally a thicker piece of PVC. But they elected to go with a Schedule 80, and that's why I went right through it. Now, I got a little bit of an issue because I got some dirt down inside of here, and I don't know if the water comes from this way and goes down there, or if it comes out of here and goes that way. So I got to figure that out, and because I got to get that dirt out of there. Now, if the water is coming from this end, I can just turn on the sprinkler and it'll flush everything out. If it's coming from this direction, though, going in there, I'm going to have to figure out where it goes so that I can remove the head and have the water, or have the dirt and stuff flush out on the other end, because otherwise if I leave it in there, it'll plug up the head and then the head won't work. So I think the first thing I want to do is turn on the sprinkler, figure out which line this is, and see if we can flush everything out. So that means I got to get all my tools out of here because it's about to get wet here. Alright, I think I figured out which one it is, so that's good news. That was the best way that could have worked out, because now I know that we've flushed everything out of there, and all I got to do is repair that now, and that should be a lot easier than if it went the other way. So let's turn this off and start fixing up my mess. Alright, I'm back from Home Depot, and fortunately this isn't a terribly costly error. I think the 3 parts that I bought, this piece here, I didn't even have to buy a 10-foot piece of PVC. They just sell them in little 2-foot chunks, and so that was the right thing to do. And then I needed this piece because this is a piece that I broke, and I needed a union piece to connect my new piece of PVC to the old piece. Now, interestingly enough, I cut off about a 10-inch piece of the pipe, and this is where I broke it here. But when I flipped the thing over, look at that gash that was there. There's no way I did that. That was in the ground. Somebody put it in the ground that way. And because like I said, that was on the bottom. The only way you could do that is to come in from on the underside. You know, there's no way I hit that with a shovel. So that was in the ground that way. So I cut behind that, and we're gonna just graft on another piece of PVC. Now this is a good opportunity to show you the difference between the Schedule 80 and the Schedule 40 PVC. You can see the piece that broke off, how thin that is. It's no wonder that thing is so easy to penetrate, right? Compare that to the piece of Schedule 40 here on the right. That's what it is, and that's going to be really shovel resistant. So if you hit that again, you're not likely to penetrate it. You'd have to hit that really hard to go through that. This stuff here on the left is just, it's really cheap. I don't know why anybody does anything with the Schedule 80. I've had nothing but bad news with a Schedule 80 pipe. Let me tell you a story about something that happened to me a number of years ago in my house in California. I was always dissatisfied with the office area upstairs because there wasn't enough light up there. When they built the area in the front end of the, you know, around the stairwell, they put 4 can lights in there, but there was 1 can light in the entire office area upstairs. So I decided at one point that I was going to go up in the attic and install another can light. And basically a can light, it's just a recessed light that goes basically flush with the ceiling. You've probably seen a lot of them. In fact, I got a couple of them in my house. I'll show you a picture of one right here so you can see what I'm talking about. And they're not really terribly difficult to install, but I was up in the attic doing that, and my house in California had fire sprinklers, and they used Schedule 80 pipe to run the water to all the sprinklers. And when I was up in the ceiling drilling the hole to put that can light in there, I accidentally kneeled on one of the Schedule 80 fire sprinkler pipes, and I actually broke it, crunched it under my weight, and basically flooded out the upstairs of my house. It took me about 5 minutes to get the water main turned off so I could even fix it. And so during that whole time, I had basically a big giant hose, 1-inch hose that was just gushing water into the attic upstairs, and of course it was dripping down onto the floor in the office upstairs, and it actually went through the floor and was dripping through the ceiling on the lower level of the house. Yeah, that caused some serious damage, and so that was Schedule 80 pipe too. It's just really cheap stuff. There's no reason I would say anyone should use that. It's worth a little bit more to use the Schedule 40, just so you're not having to deal with screw-ups like this. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to measure out this piece, and I basically want to cut a similar chunk off of this piece here, and then we're going to put this union on the end of it. We'll connect there, we'll put this right angle piece on it and reconnect back up to the sprinkler system, and we should be back in business. Alright, so we got this all buttoned up. I used a little PVC cement on both ends here to seal that up, and screwed on the little L piece there, and then PVC cemented that closed. I'm going to leave this open for a little while just to let it dry, but that PVC cement tends to dry almost instantly. It becomes virtually impenetrable within like just a couple minutes. So we'll just let that dry for a little while. Obviously what this means is I'm not going to be able to put the plant here because there's too much plumbing there. There's a piece of PVC going right here, and there's this piece here. So I think probably this goes to this sprinkler head here, and I know there's a sprinkler head right there also, but that one seems to be fed separately. That almost might be fed by this piece here. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't design this, so I don't have any idea where any of this stuff goes. But I know where some of it is now because I hit it and I broke it. So this should solve this problem for now. We're going to cover this up with soil, and we'll just have to not dig there anymore. And like I said, I'll have to figure out some place to put that other plant. Now what seems to happen here is this seems to go deep here, so maybe I could put the plant right here and still be in good shape. So I think maybe that's what I'll do. That was an unfortunate detour today though, huh? Alright, so I had originally said I was going to try and dig here, and I decided I was going to take it really careful this time just in case I ran into something else I didn't foresee. And I did run into something else I didn't foresee. There is a piece of rain gutter drain running through here. You may recall that I cleaned out the rain gutter over here a while ago and was wondering where all that water went when it went into the ground. Well, it runs through a piece of plumbing that goes out here into the yard, and I'm just running into all sorts of places in this yard where I can't put plants because I can't do anything there because that's where the plumbing is going to be. So I don't know, we're going to keep fishing around until we can find some place to put this thing. How about here? What do you think? You think there'll be something there? Maybe. I don't know. Let's find out. Alright, so we hit this piece first. Then we found that piece back there, and I decided to put in here, and guess what? I found another piece of PVC down there. So I think at this point I'm just going to give up on this this last plant here. We'll put it in the backyard somewhere. Basically the idea was to fill up this area here, and we've accomplished that. So I'm going to just fill in that hole, fill in this hole, put the remaining topsoil on, and I think we'll be finished with this project. This is a nice plant. It'll go in the backyard somewhere, and it'll look good back there. I'm just tired of digging and hitting PVC. Fortunately, I don't think it doesn't look like I penetrated this one, so we should be in good shape here. But like I said, I don't know where anything is here. I'm not even sure where that would go. You know, maybe that goes off. There's a sprinkler head over there, but I don't know. Or does it go out into the yard here somewhere? I have no idea how this stuff is all routed. You know, it's frustrating. You know, like I said, I knew how to deal with this in California because I knew where everything was because I was the one that put it there. But I don't have any idea how any of this stuff is routed. So, yeah, that's just the joys of being a homeowner. So I'm gonna fill all this up. We're gonna put the topsoil on, and I think we'll be done with this project today. All right, so I got the 4 plants in. Like I said, the 5th one is still here. We'll put that in the backyard somewhere. And I kind of leveled everything out with the soil. I also had a couple of pieces of flagstone that I had here, and they were just kind of leaning up against that rock over there, and I didn't really have anything to do with them, so I decided just to create a little footpath going out here so I can kind of get out here if I ever need to and not have to walk in the dirt. But I think we're looking good right now. The plants look like they'll do really well here. Like I said, this one's been here for, I don't know, 6 months or so, and it seems to be doing well. So hopefully the other 2 will also do well. And we also got some hopes for these little dwarf ivy or dwarf holly plants, which they look pretty nice, and they should add a little color to the front yard too. So I think the last thing I'm going to do here is give this a good drink, and I think we'll wrap this one up for today. Oh, and I got a little bit of a mess to clean up, but that is always part of what happens when you do gardening. All right, I think everything is happy now. I think in addition to the good thorough watering I just gave it, I'm also going to run the sprinklers just to give it an extra dose of water, because you know that's the most traumatizing part of a plant's life, is when it gets replanted. So let's give it a good drink, make sure that it's all nice and healthy, and we'll have these things off to a good start. So I think that's all that I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Happy New Year!